Once we've finished pricing our materials, we shift to Labor tab. The Labor tab, again, is just a mirror of the schedule of quantities of our PDF from the merchant, except now every item is given a labor factor, which converts to man hours. So for every item, we can see the time taken to install that item, and then in bold at the bottom of each work section is a total man hours for that work section. Items that are marked with a labor unit INC means that they're included. They are a component of another item. They don't need labor factors. Right away on import, I think we had $37,000 of materials. We have $36,000 of labor, and that is from every work section being charged at our default charge-out rate of $60 that we've set up. You can, however, set up multiple charge-out rates. So if you want to have a concrete gang at $55 an hour and save my best carpenters doing interior linings at $65 an hour, I can do that. You can set up as many charge-out rates as you want to charge different work sections at different rates. Within sections, we can adjust labor factors, but I feel it's more sensible to adjust degree of difficulty if we want to increase or decrease our labor. Degree of difficulty is just job specific. If we change labor factors and save those to the database, it's going to change our pricing on those items going forward from then on across all jobs. So concrete, for example, if we knew that site access was poor and we're going to be wheelbarrowing concrete on site, we can bump up our degree of difficulty up to 50%, and that will give us half as many man hours again. Typically for projects such as renovations, we would see a 30% increase right across the board. But a good way of determining the correct degree of difficulty used on the project is to use their own labor estimate. You can see at the bottom of each work section. There is a tick box for use own labor estimate. A good tip is to go to a large work section, like interior linings. We'll see what the software has generated. In this example, the software has generated 106.66 hours to complete this work section. And then we're going to do our own labor estimate. And we're going to say it's going to take our 3 workers 6 days to do this. And we'll see what our estimate generates, 106 hours. If there's that much disparity between the software's estimate and our own estimate, it's likely that a quantity is wrong. If we go back and check our quantities and we're happy with all the quantities, then it is likely to be a degree of difficulty. We've seen the plans, we know what's involved in the job. We can bump up the degree of difficulty. If we increase it to 50% so that those hours correlate, then we can say likely on this project 50% is my degree of difficulty, and we can do that across all work sections. It is important to note that although we have a measure, the labor tab is called labor quantity, we still have a built quantity, which is our adjustable column. But it's important to note that the labor unit is not always the same as the material unit. It's a good safe practice to adjust the built quantity only in the material tab. Steel, for example, here we can see we have 18.6 kilos. If I add just 1 kilo to build quantity, make 19.6, I'm adding just 1 kilo of steel. If, however, I go to the materials tab and look at steel, we can see that we're actually ordering it in 6-meter rods. We have 5 6-meter rods. I'm going to add 1 6-meter rod. We'll jump back to the labor tab, and we can see that the labor is now been calculated at 22 kilos. It's just better practice to adjust the built quantity from within the materials tab and to work in units that make sense. We're ordering bales of insulation, sheets of jib, length or rods of steel. Some things like timber is fine because you order it in lineal meters and the labor is calculated in lineal meters. But a lot of the time that labor unit is not the same as the material unit. So it's good safe practice to always adjust the built quantity in the materials tab. Again, the subcontracting works just the same as it does in the materials tab. If we want to sub out items, you can do it line item by line item. Here's our insulation, where we had subbed out material cost. We're also subbing out the labor cost. Now we need to add that as a separate subcontractor quote. We've completely removed the material and the labor cost of that item. If we minimize these sections, we'll notice that there are some items that have $0 value, and that is pre-nail and trusses. Because of the way those come in on a schedule, where it just says quantity 1 and the dollar value, we have no line items with which to calculate labor. So pre-nail is always calculated using use own labor estimate. We can say own labor estimate. It's going to take 3 guys 8 days to stand straight and embrace the frame, and that will give us our man hours and labor cost. And trusses works the same. Own labor estimate are 3 workers, 4 days to do trusses, 108 man hours. If we're happy with our quantities within 2 or 3 minutes, we can have at least half the job priced pretty accurately between our materials and our labor tab.